So there's that. I'm going to hold off on the intro for a second until I post the link. Setting up. It says live. I never know which one to actually trust. Okay, so there's
Come on, YouTube, show me that. There it is. Okay, YouTube is saying live now.
For anybody who's just jumping in right here at the beginning, give us a second. We're just sharing out links, and then we'll go into the intro.
Hey. We're just getting ourselves together. Let people file in.
Giving everybody a chance to get in the chat and me to share the link.
People pour on into the room.
Lauren and Nick are having a lot of fun.
You know, the farther into quarantine and COVID stuff, the less formal the stream gets.
Matt, the less formal everything.
I know.
Pretty much gets.
I stopped wearing pants weeks ago.
Ooh, that was fun.
You know, I think earlier today, did I hashtag it 2019?
Did you do that?
No, you did 2020.
Did I do 2020? Okay.
Yeah, you did it. You're fine.
Yeah, you did 2020. I'm looking at it now.
2019, which made me think about it. Okay, here goes the tweet out. Okay, and we've got some in the chat. Let me get my screen situated here. Sure. I've got this fancy 3-screen setup now, so I have no idea where to look. All right.
The more screens, the better.
Nick and Lauren are working on.
We should be all set now.
I would say it seems smoother, although your audio is a little tinny, but we can deal with that.
It's probably the crappy headphones.
It's not bad, Nick. It's just a little tinny, so I won't worry too much. Nick and Lauren are working out some video and audio things. I think they've got that situated. So we're going to go ahead and get rolling. There's people in the chat, so welcome everybody to the Friday 3D Printing Community Hangout. We missed last week, and that was my fault. I was on call for work and didn't make it home soon enough to do anything. So I know originally we were supposed to be on hiatus this week, next week, and the following week. Here we are this week. This week, you've seen some announcements from the East Coast RepRap Festival regarding the 2020 RepRap Fest. And we've got Chris, we've got Nick, and Lauren off to the side, but she'll be in shortly, I assume, to tell us what's up and kind of answer some questions from you guys. Oh, I screwed up the date in the chat. Oh, I didn't. That's the right date. Yeah, they're going to tell us what's going on with ERRF. And at this point, it's really the early stages, so we don't want to harp on them too much for details because they're still figuring things out. But it's going to look quite a bit different than the last 2 years of ERRF, and they're going to let us know that. So let's go ahead and go through with intros real quick. We'll start with Dave Randolph.
Hello, David Randolph from Printed Solid, printedsolid.com, all that fun stuff. And I'm looking forward to VERRF. I guess we'd call it not VERRF, but VERRF is probably the better way to put it. So there we go.
All right. And next up, we'll go over to Chris.
Hey everybody, Chris here at mcrispy1. Very much looking forward to the virtual edition of ERRF this year, and I go with the VERRF, even though there was another VERRF. That's okay. It's easier. It's about
silence.
Less. Yeah, exactly. This one's the one with the silent E. Actually, this is the one with the non-silent E. However, whichever you choose, silent or non, it's your E, your choice. Use it or lose it. But looking forward to it. It will be different. It's going to be learning experience. We don't know a whole lot of everything about what it is we're doing yet, but you can definitely ask questions. We just might not have answers, and that's okay right now, I think. So.
The good news is we can just make them up as we go. It just means we got to follow through with something later.
Just take notes.
Right?
Yep. Yeah, so depending on the questions you guys ask in the chat today may help Chris and Nick and Lauren and Vicky. Maybe your questions will help them for some things they need to think about going into this, or maybe something that might be a good idea for them. If you have suggestions, feel free to post questions, suggestions, thoughts, whatever in the chat. Obviously, be respectful. They're trying to figure this out. And we wish them best of luck in doing so. So as you heard there was Nick. Go ahead, Nick.
Hi, everybody. Nick Ange. The other percentage of a buzz designs yet to be determined, like 12%. There's like the 88% of it. Like I'm 12% maybe. And along with Chris and Lauren and Vicky, one of the ERRF board members that now VERRF, although silent E, like in coup, I suppose. I'm just trying to think of words that have silent E's. Yeah. So, hi, everybody.
All right. And when Lauren comes on, we'll let her introduce herself then.
You want to introduce yourself?
Oh.
Yep.
I mean, I can. I can't hear anything because.
Do you really need to hear anything?
Well,
I mean,
no.
Here.
Thanks.
You know we have a splitter for that, right?
I know. I told you to go get it and you didn't.
Oh.
Hi guys.
That's about right.
I'm Lauren from Buzz Designs. You guys haven't seen me around here very often because I now have an Etsy shop that's no longer on Etsy. So I guess I just have a store. And that's taken up most of my time. But I am part of the ERRF team, and we are really, really excited to be doing still something, even though it's not what we had originally planned. So be sure to ask us all your questions because we really, really, really would love to know what you guys want.
Okay.
The splitter is over by the couch.
Tell Lauren we said thank you.
Oh, she'll be back. She just apparently asked me to get the splitter earlier so that we could both have headsets, and I didn't listen. I mean, shocking, I suppose. But yeah, she'll be back.
So we'll give the floor to you guys, Chris and Nick, however you guys want to give us the details. What's up?
So, I guess at a high level, we had to, we'll give a little bit of backstory here. Don't want to get deep into it, but we've been watching what's been going on and trying to figure out, how, we've done 2 events. We know at this point how much time it takes us to put things together, to get what we need to do, to create what we think and what we've heard from everybody is a really fun time, and trying to continue to present something like that. And we're basically at that breaking point. And right now we still don't have very clear direction as far as when large events are going to happen. Maryland is just edging into their phase 2, which is opening up a lot of things at maybe 50% capacity. It's taking houses of worship, I think, from 10 people to a maximum of 100 people in a building. Things keep changing, it's changed a lot. But in any case, to get to an event the size of 1,500 people where we were last year, and quite honestly, hoping for a little bit bigger than 1,500. We don't know when we're going to get that clearance yet. And I've talked a lot to the school. in the arena. They've had a lot of events drop. They have a couple events hanging on by their fingernails, praying that something happens. But they weren't even able to give a whole lot of guidance to me. So that tells me a lot when they can't encourage me to want to hang out for it. So long story short, and the real bottom line is, we've been talking about this in our board meetings basically every 2 weeks since March. The community is very important to us, all of you, everybody that comes. That's what really makes what we think the event special. We don't want to put anybody at risk to get sick, and we would feel absolutely horrible if the worst case scenario happened, with something to do with this coronavirus disease. So this is the way that we know we can still get together. Again, not going to be exactly the same what everybody wants, but we're going to try to do our best to give that feeling of ERRF as best as we can.
I think you did a great job, by the way, of doing it at the right time, because you listened to all the information, you got it out there, and you pushed it until the exact moment where you had to decide if it was going to be a crummy rush show, last minute if you had to cancel or go beyond with it, and you didn't cancel it so early that you might have missed the window. I think you made a really good call with your timing.
Well, as one of our sponsors that's been a big part of things, from the beginning in 2018, Dave, I'm happy to hear that you're happy. All things, obviously considered, but the old term shotgun wedding is, I think, the one I kept throwing up in the meetings, and that's not what we wanted to do. We didn't want to rush to do this, and to do the things that we do, getting a shirt, getting the brochures made, last year getting the hats and the mugs because people wanted some extra stuff, to take home with ERRF on it. That takes time and it takes money at the same time. And some of that money, you send it out the door, it doesn't come back if the event goes off. And that means money that we might be collecting from sponsors becomes an issue and everything else. And that's something that we wanted to avoid. Some of our sponsors like to pay us by PayPal because it's easier. They're far away from us, and that's simple for them. And we're losing a chunk on the payment. Now we got to refund them, and to refund them and make them whole, which is what we would want to do. Now it gets complicated, and that's not why we're here. We want it to be fun and good for everybody. And at the end of the day, all things considered, I know this was the right decision. I know some folks will be disappointed, and I'm really sorry. Even if it were a live show, I know we would disappoint somebody. But it is what it is at this point, and we're gonna march forward, and we're gonna do the best thing that we can with what we have. Old saying, if you get lemons, make lemonade. I'm full of cliches these days. But that's what we're going to do. And we've sent out emails to all of our past exhibitors and sponsors asking for some feedback. So if you're a past exhibitor or sponsor, check your emails, get us some feedback. If you haven't, we can get some information out so that folks can give us some feedback. I'll pop a link up into the chat here in a bit while somebody else is talking, and folks can jump in there and give us some information. And then otherwise, feel free to reach out to us and throw some ideas out tonight. At talk. We are still very much in that formative throwing spaghetti on the wall kind of point and trying to figure out what we can work, what we can't work. And I'm sure there's some great ideas out there that we might be able to to fold into the mix. So
I'm looking at the chat, Chris, as you've been talking, and I'm seeing a lot of people saying, thanks for mentioning this early and making the decision early, and it gives us the ability to look at travel, not book something, and then have to look at cancellations and all the stuff that goes into it. And I do want to let everybody in the chat know this was not a decision that was come to easily. While we thought it was the right thing to do, we actually asked a lot of people about this. We reached out to figure out what it would look like, how long people would need. We started taking into account lots of different factors that went into this. So while ultimately we believe we're doing the right thing, and as Chris said, we know there are going to be people who are disappointed. We ourselves can say we're disappointed that we're not going to get to see everybody at ERRF, because as much as we're typically running around and doing different things, we love the interactions that we get. Okay, I love the interactions that I get. I'll speak for myself. I can't speak for everybody else, although I like doing that. So yeah, we're disappointed about it as well, but at the same time, we do think it's the right thing to do. And we also said that when we made this decision, we wanted to find a way to make sure that we could still bring something to people. And we wanted to make sure the thing that we were bringing to people was a good thing too, not just something that was, kind of, well, we have to fill a gap. While we are filling a gap, we've got months to think about it at this point. And thanks to the rest of the team and not me, we're not going to wait until the last week to actually plan stuff. So
Let me ask this question. How are you guys, or what type of ideas are you guys having for the format, the show? See if anybody's got any chat or input about that. I'm just curious. How do you see it going off for the virtual version?
I imagine like a 3-ring circus with Chris kind of working as the ringmaster there. That's how I'm viewing it, at least. I'm just going to be kind of a clown in the background, maybe jumping out of a car at some point. No, Dave, there have been a lot of discussions about how to make it happen, and things continue to get kind of tossed around during our meetings. So to say that we are definitely set on one particular format, I don't think I would be going too far to say, no, we haven't done that yet. I mean, we're thinking about multiple streams and ways to be able to do those things so that people could experience a speaker on the build platform and then be able to switch off of whatever stream that happens to be to see somebody who's maybe doing a modeling demonstration. Or so potential of running different streams simultaneously, allowing people almost to have that same experience as being able to walk through and see the different things that were there. Now, it becomes a little bit challenging when you think about all the amazing projects that people have and want to share, whether it's our amazing sponsors or the tremendous the tremendous exhibitors that we've had. So we are going to have to do some work and figure out how to make that happen in a way that makes sense and is reasonable to everybody who's enjoying it. But yeah, there's a little bit of work, and I got to tell you, I am not the website tech guy around this, so I just throw out ideas and let other people think of them or tell me how not brilliant they are, and then we debate for about 15 minutes on my brilliance. And obviously,
I thought it was a good idea. It was just more work for somebody else. So
exactly.
I'm still all for it, Nick. I'm sorry, I'm not the one that it's more work for.
No, the one that's more work for is standing here, and she doesn't have anything in her hand, so I feel safe at the moment.
That's me.
That's the one hand.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't have anything she's going to throw at me in the one hand, so we're good.
So you're talking about having different streams, having speakers on a stream, having sponsors, I guess, on one, and then exhibitors. That's kind of what you're thinking with that.
Yeah, I mean, something.
It's not set in
like
stone.
that.
You're trying to figure it out, right?
What's that, Dave?
It's not set in stone. You're trying to figure it out,
Right.
and that's one of the ideas that you bounced around.
Yeah.
This is, you can take this as a concept. This might happen. This might not happen. Parts of this might happen. Other parts of it might not happen. But in Chris's mind right now, if things went really well, what I could see is having 3 streams. Nick said a 3-ring circus. I want to stay true to Nick in the 3-ring circus. Stream 1 would look like a, a, a rotation, if you will, of sponsors and exhibitors. I would say something very similar to, you've seen in a 1440 Makers stream. And how Shane has taken, a large group of people, grouped them up, and had conversations within those groups and move them through, a rotation of sorts. And then at the same time, and that to me, that's the general show floor. That's walking around the show floor, going up and down the aisles, seeing, who set up who brought what new printer, what Dave Randolph brought to his printed solid booth this year, what the Slice guys brought from their booth, whoever works with us. And that's what that channel is all about in my mind. The next channel is the build platform, which is Nick's channel in my mind. And that is talks, panels, just like we have all weekend long at ERRF. Have those talks going on. And we already have people that are raising their hands saying, hey, I want to do a talk. So that's what we'll do on the build platform. We'll continue to have talks. And then, the third channel, and this is the one that might be, a little bit more of, spaghetti on the wall right now, a little bit more exploratory, is, a channel that's, more of a general hangout. And then we can also work some of the fun stuff of ERRF into this, and some of the things that I think make ERRF unique. And talking about unique, I wasn't thinking this out of the gate. I have to give Lauren credit for saying, well, we've got to do a virtual 3D printed derby. And I said, really? I'm not sure how that's going to work, and I'm not even sure what the Cub Scouts are going to think about that request. But I emailed them. And Joe said, hey, I think we're in. I just got to talk to the board, but it looks like they'll be amenable to working with us on a virtual Pinewood Derby. So that comment's come into us. We might be able to figure out how to make this work. But we could also do, I could commandeer Matt and Paul Palkstellis and have them host a couple hours in the afternoon and do the speed benchy contest. And everybody that does a speed benchy this year, instead of printing it at the show, you'll have to print it during the stream, and then Matt and Paul will bring you in and review your benchy with their panel of judges and make a determination on who the winner is. And then there's some other things we can do along those lines. Maybe I can get James JC Print and Play to do a best print and show contest, similar. But like I said, this is where the spaghetti gets into it. Nick is looking at the screen like Chris is losing it.
No. I'm not gonna lie. I'm enamored with the idea of the multiple modelers taking one model and then just doing like an hour. So somebody starts a model and works on it for like 10 minutes, and then it gets passed off to somebody else who does their own flair on it for the next 10 minutes. And then, so at the end of like an hour, you have a Mad Libs kind of model that's just a hodgepodge of different designers.
And tell me that wouldn't be, tell me that wouldn't be cool if you literally had a Zoom session where all 10 of the modelers had their screen shared, and you literally see them send and receive the email, and it bounces from screen to screen.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Dave. I brought that up at the last meeting. I don't model. I mean, send it to me. I'll Tinkercad it. You'll end up with like a hexagon someplace, and I'll have no idea how I even did it, but it'll be great.
That would be pretty cool. I like that idea. That would be really neat to see.
Now, the only fun thing you'd have to do with that is every single time that they send the file to the next person, you need to post that file somewhere online so people watching it can grab the file and do whatever they want to do to it, and
Or
put
on
that
like
out
a
on
public
social
drive
media.
folder or something.
You know, that would be kind of fun. I'd love to see, you know, literally what happens when you just throw it out in the wild at each
Yeah.
step and see what people do.
No, absolutely. I
that
think it'd be
idea.
amazing. Like I said, I don't model those, so we're gonna have to get people who have skills in that realm to do it. But
That'd be good.
Chris, we kind of talked briefly about it. I mean, it's anything you need from me from Friday 3D Printing Community Hangout. I mean, whatever we can do to, whether it's hosting a social hour or evening, whatever. I know we kind of briefly talked about that. Whatever you need from us, I mean, I'm here to do whatever. We're
I like that you said that, Matt. I've got coming up this month, I've got a virtual training from my company, and they decided something that was going to be really important around it was going to be to have a virtual kind of hour, virtual social hour. And they set up different team leaders, and each team leader is going to download House Party and just kind of run House Party for an hour with a group of people. And I was like, I'm kind of curious to see how that goes, because I want to figure out how we could do some kind of social hour. We know that these RepRap events are great for the social contact around it. And, you know, Friday night after setup, Saturday, you know, even Sunday after teardown and everything, just getting together and talking with people about what you're seeing. And I love that idea because, quite honestly, I love the social aspect of everything. So yeah, yeah.
Well, and this kind of takes down through the Friday night hangouts. We've had a lot of people who are, whether they're self-proclaimed or whatever, introverts or introverted, and this takes that barrier down for those people to some extent, because you're just in your room, in your office, your basement, your whatever. So it kind of gives everybody the chance to open up. And even if that was, you know, thinking about that, maybe that wouldn't even necessarily have to be a live stream thing, so they don't have to worry about being on the camera, being recorded. Just, hey, we fire up a Zoom, it allows 100 people in a room, and we chat. Maybe some conversation split off to other smaller groups or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? The metrics behind how to do it may be a little complicated, but I think something can be done there to make that work.
Yeah, I think that's going to be more of the, you know, we don't have answers to some things. We got some great ideas, but we don't have answers to some things right now. That's going to be over the next 4 months, you know, trying to figure out how we bring all these great ideas to life.
I know that's one of the things last year I didn't get to do just because of timing and having to come home and get the kids and stuff like that after the show. But the year before and last year, I missed the social events afterwards. Like, that's, to me, that is the show, is the social aspect of it, even more than, you know, yes, we all have 3D printers, we all have a common interest, but just sitting down, drinking a beer and socializing.
Well, Matt, waiting for that beer at the Green Turtle took a while. Sometimes I'll be honest with you. So in this case, it'll be better this year because you can have whatever beer you want right at your fingertips. If you want liquor, go right ahead. You know, it's there. Have what you want. You can shoot guns. You can have a sword with you while you're at VERRF. That's fine by me. Sort it out. We're not going to complain. And if Pooch and Chuck want to get together and have a gladiator battle of school racers and put on a stream, I am all for Pooch and Chuck making that happen. You know, as part of, we will give them time on the show. So
I just realized what I could have.
What's that?
Rocket-powered derby cars.
You can set that up in your backyard and show us how it works. That's and to me, that's the one thing that's really cool about where we are and what we're doing with this is, you know, modern technology and the creativity of everybody out there and what they can do with the webcam and how they can show stuff off. Mario Kart Derby, Olive Frogs has that file and she hasn't given it up yet of those Mario, the turtle turtle shells from
I was
Mario.
thinking that I saw that comment come across the remote
So-
controlled turtle shells, and I'm like,
So yeah, she's got to cough that up there. But in any case, I'm looking forward to seeing some creativity from the community, because I mean, like Dave is showing us that he'd like us to think he's at the office making filament, but nothing's moving back there. You got to jam, Dave. You forgot to change the spool, one or the other. But I think we're going to see some cool stuff come from the community in doing this, and that's what I'm hoping to think will come of this. And we're not, the team, we talked about it. There were some options out there, maybe to spend some money with some service providers to provide a fancy environment, if you will, that made it look like, or made it feel like you clicked onto a showroom and there were a bunch of booths, and then you can go to this booth and that booth, and some sponsors who have been taking part in ERRF from the beginning and are on screen with us now said, maybe we can help with, things if they fall in that range, because they're a good friend of the show. He hasn't fallen out of his chair yet, so I'm hoping that was okay. But the bad news is a lot of those companies that have some of those services, they're booked up already. And I started talking to them early, or trying to talk to them early, and they don't return phone calls and they stop returning emails. So one of the things we decided, we're going to keep this as a no cost, low cost event for our sponsors and everybody as much as possible, trying to keep things again, simple for everybody, but knowing that the technology can do a lot. And again, trying to give a good showcase and a platform to the exhibitors, to the community, which is what we've always wanted to do, give that platform. And this year, with everybody's help and spreading the word and talking about it, because we're 4 months away, let folks know that you're going to be on this platform, and hopefully, again, we'll be well beyond 1,500 people walking by your table at the show. We can be up to 3, 4, 5, 10,000 people checking out your stream and your presentation and your spotlight on the internet at VERRF.
Talking about the exhibitors and showing off your projects and stuff, covering that area, just something that keeps going through my head as a suggestion for that. If you gave people a time slot during a live stream, like just a one-on-one with maybe one-on-one or two-on-one, something, a couple of hosts to ask questions about what people were doing. Like maybe if you could get like some of the YouTubers like Joel, Tom Sandlander, a bunch of those guys to be the host, so people could come on like one at a time in time slots and show off whatever their project is, whether it's a printer, a print, whatever, and have like for one of your streams, do something along those lines. Like I've tried to do the show and tell on F3DPCH, do something like that maybe, where your chat is your interaction, asking the auxiliary questions, but then you have like your key hosts that are asking, the technical questions and things like that on how they got to where they are or whatever. Something like along those lines would be neat.
Yeah, and that's something, Matt, that we've kind of been talking about, thinking about the possibility, like Chris just said, you could have, 1,500, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 people coming through. Opening up ERRF in this way, being, virtual ERRF, also opens up the possibility that you get a lot of people who want to show off their projects. So one of the things you got to think about is how do you make that happen? Because you also not going to run it 24. I am not Shane. I am not an Iron Man. I am not running 24-hour streams, starting at 10 a.m. on Saturday and running until 6 p.m. on Sunday nonstop. You know, and even if you did that, there's only so much time in an hour. And if you get a lot of people who are interested in showing things, you start talking about cutting down time slots. So you really do have to think a little bit. You know, our sponsors have been great to us over the last 2 years. So we want to make sure that we get our sponsors in there if they want to be part of it. You know, and then we really got to start thinking about, there's so many amazing projects. How do we get eyes on so many amazing projects, but at the same time keep it fairly equitable, you know, so it's not like, well, you've got 15 seconds to talk about your project, ready, go.
Right.
And on to the next thing. So yeah.
I think your biggest challenge is going to be the number of streams.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to suggest a format, because I mean, you have your sponsors, which is, you know, definitely supports everything, but you do have your people, your exhibitors as well. What if you literally did something along the lines of 15-minute segments with a single sponsor and 3 exhibitors, and the sponsor is managing the exhibitors, asking them about their projects. They're really supposed to, you know, work with them and help them show off what they're doing, type of thing.
Absolutely a possibility, Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's anything that we're saying no to at this point. Well, that's not true. Some of my ideas have been a little bit off the wall, so it's been okay to say no to those. I was just testing the water. But yeah, that's, you know, I like the ideas. I'm actually seeing things come across in the chat as well. You know, if we were going to do, you know, 24 hours, you know, could you get people in other parts of the world who wanted to be part of virtual ERRF, you know,
Yep.
to be hosting for a certain amount of time? I think, just personally thinking about that one, my initial thought is that seems to be a massive undertaking in organizing a lot of people in different countries. And I'm like, that may be a little out of our purview. I like the idea. Don't get me wrong, but
Well, and so RC Maniac pointed out something really important in the chat. The 24-hour streams, YouTube dumps. They will only store 12 hours.
12, yeah.
So you almost have to, you know, even for the 12-hour block might not be quite enough, because ERRF usually ran from, well, no, I guess it would have been enough for the normal time slots. But
yeah,
if you were to do, like, you know, every 6 hours, this stream ends, another stream starts, even if it's the same, you know, the exhibitor stream, so to speak, do like 6-hour blocks, because a couple of things. One, you're able to timestamp it a little bit better, to be able to say, you know, this person was in at this time and this person came in at this time, and so on. You can timestamp things better, which was one of the comments I saw early on, was it would be nice if during the streams, like in the description, you had timestamps, which
Now I understand that comment.
that's what it meant.
I was going to have to ask about that before,
Yep.
at some point, but it went right over my head.
Yeah, that part alone is going to require a lot of dedication from someone, and it may
somebody's going to have to be watching.
Yeah, it may not be able to be available immediately when that stream ends. It may be, you know, a week later we'll have these timestamps put in place, just to not put too much on your plate for that weekend. You know what I mean?
Well, here's an interesting thought on that, just because it's spaghetti on a wall. What if you literally just have the stream that's an hour and 45 minutes long with a 15-minute break, and then just quit literally every 2 hours. You take your break, and you start and stop the stream every 2 hours. People come back. You have your schedule, and that way you can go a little long or a little short or anything like that, and you can, it'll help you keep the schedule during the day. But you'll have a pretty decent timestamp as well, because you'll have these 2-hour chunks already kind of sitting there. So you don't have to break it down too much. People will be able to figure out what they need.
I wrote that one down. I like that breaking it up idea for timestamping it. That's something we can probably work into.
I'm not going to lie. I'm really grateful at this moment that my ring of the circus is probably the easiest to timestamp around things. Like, here's when the speakers are, boom, and that stream. Start up the next one for the next speaker. It's going to be super easy.
Yeah, I mean, for your situation, it makes good.
Yeah.
But the great thing is, for the other one, you can sit there and say, hey, listen, these exhibitors and these sponsors are from 10 to 2 or 10 to noon. And that you literally put that in the description, and there you go. You're already done. You don't have to go in there and go overboard with timestamping and re-editing everything down.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is if you do put stops between those blocks, is that Chris, you handle all the start and stop of the stream from 10 to 4, and Nick Gooden comes in from 4 to 8. You kind of have little blocks of the day that you all jump around your stream, just starting and stopping it, keeping everything on board. So you don't have to pull a Shane and kill yourself or anything.
You do need to find a way for Nick to make announcements across all streams simultaneously.
That might actually be easier this time around, now that I'm thinking about it.
That would be pretty nice.
Like an emergency broadcast signal comes across all the streams. Nick is talking. I make my announcement. It goes away.
Nick has a red phone. The moment he picks it up, his camera goes on and he interrupts everybody.
The start of every 2-hour block is whoever on the other streams is sitting there going, here's what's happening over on the main stage, and here's what's happening over in the hangout.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing that I want us to kind of keep in mind is because we are doing this, as no cost, low cost. I am aware that that's probably going to drive a lot more people that want to be a part of this, but we are going to show preference to those who have been along the ride with us thus far. At some point things have to get capped off, because I'm sure that there's as we figure out some things that might make the event more exciting, more and more people might want to become part of it. But at some point, to make these exhibitor talks, presentations meaningful, and the sponsor conversations, it's got to be somewhat smaller groups. We can't have 10 people on the screen at one time going through their project. Nobody will ever get their story out because people are going to keep interrupting them on screen, even if you ask them, to hold your questions to the end. So, I think having smaller groups, one moderator and maybe 2, 3 other people doing a presentation at one time is the right thing to do. And you got to give everybody a little bit of time to say their bit, and then you got to leave a little bit of time to ask some questions. So, I'm kind of an analytical person. I take that information, I back into, okay, this is how much time I have, this is how many slots, this is how many people, this is my fudge factor, and that means we can have 100 exhibitors, over a 2-day event, or 150 exhibitors, with an expectation that you're going to get, a solid good 3 minutes to talk about what it is you want to talk about and what you want to show off and what you want to tell everybody about. And then also give Dave, I love you for the offer of doing interviews of exhibitors, but I'm sure you might want to rather show off the latest filaments that you're making, or the latest features on your rail core, or something like that. Which I would probably be more excited. I'd be really excited about, but.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, remember is that ultimately the reason why the exhibitors are there is to help pay the bill. Or sorry, the sponsors are there to help kind of flip the bill for exhibitors and the rest of the show for the most part. That's kind of what we're there for, to help fund that along.
Well, and we kind of like you. I mean, I'll toss that out there.
But as an example of that, I mean, I would, it's for me, I can sit there and, if we were doing a block or something like that, I'd sit there and, I'd, of course, mark it out to help print it solid, but having me there to kind of host and talk to exhibitors to kind of control the stream a little bit and show the interest would be interesting. Because if you guys found exhibitors that were all doing enclosures, I'd have all sorts of questions for them and helping them out. And if somebody's doing a lot of mods for E3D, you get those guys to do it, and so on and so forth. Things like that. It's a good way to not make it just a commercial is what I was hoping for.
No, absolutely, Dave. I think that's, we don't want it to be that either. We don't want it to just be one long commercial, but different companies every time, like, yeah, here we go. Because we can see that if we want to, I'm okay with not seeing 2 hours worth of commercials back to back to back to back. But
I mean, I have cool stuff, but I mean, I couldn't watch myself for 2 hours showing off my own stuff.
What I think is interesting, Chris, I heard you say, somebody talking for 3 minutes, something of that nature. I don't know if people realize how long time actually feels extended when you're talking about something. Like when you tell somebody they've got to talk for 15 minutes and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll fill that 15 minutes, not a problem. And then they get to like 8 minutes and they're like, I don't have anything else. Now, that's usually not a problem we run into because we're also passionate about the things that we're doing. Well, I'm getting a look from the other side. No, I can talk for hours.
Yes, you can talk for hours.
You have to put a time limit on when I'm going to talk. But I mean, people are so passionate about everything that they're talking about. And I love that because they can talk about it for a while. So it's kind of that, we don't want to short people in talking about the cool stuff that they're doing. At the same time, we want to make sure that as many people as possible can showcase and I say as many as possible within reason, because if there are 10,000 people who want to show things, it's going to be really hard to get that in.
Yeah, and it's a good point. I just threw the question in the chat because it's a good question. I just pulled 3 minutes out of the dark regions. But yeah, I mean that's something we've got to figure out. But at the same time, to my point, the question was asked, Carson asked, what are we looking at for hours? Nick, you said it. I agree.
Yeah.
We're not doing a 24-hour thing. I would tell people to expect ERRF hours. Saturday from 10 to 6, Sunday 10 to 4.
Yep.
That's there might be some minor wiggle room in and around that. We've had some offers to help extend it, and we have an offer from one of our past sponsors to go ahead and take Saturday evening on, and that's maybe something that'll happen, but that won't be an ERRF, an ERRF thing. That'll be somebody else doing that part of it. But for what we're looking to put out there is that Saturday, Sunday core time slot, and we're gonna work with getting the Sanjays and the Bontecs and the Joe Pruses and all of them.
I love Sanjay, but we got to give Sanjay like 15 minutes. Sanjay and I are very much alike in the fact that we will talk forever, except he's interesting. There's a lot of good. I see Paul in the chat asking about social time on Friday, and Chris, as you were saying, kind of the ERRF hours. I was having the same thought at probably about the same time Paul was typing it out, and that idea of maybe 8 to 10 on Friday night really is that social part of things, and maybe there's another social part, Saturday night. You're pointing, yeah. Well, actually, on my screen, you're pointing towards Dave, so I don't know if that's who you meant to point towards. But
I thought I was pointing towards Matt. On my screen, I'm pointing
on my screen.
Yeah. So yeah, Matt. Friday night, you're the Friday night 3D printing community hangout. I feel it's only natural that we leverage the F3DPCH for Friday night in a social event.
Well, let's see. Let me put you guys on the spot. So, how many exhibitors did you guys have last year?
It wasn't quite 100. It was 80 something.
And how many sponsors did you have?
We had
40 something, all combined.
No, it was 60.
Was it 60?
No, if all the bronze and bronze, silver, gold, platinum, about 60-ish.
Okay, that's not too bad.
No, I mean that's a fair number of spots to work in, and
you want to know my wonderful quick calculations brings you to if you include all exhibitors and sponsors and you run ERRF hours on that, that equals 14 minutes.
It's not bad.
How much time are you giving each person? Wait, 14 minutes.
That would be 14 minutes per person, yeah.
I thought you were saying 14 minutes total. I'm like, wow, you got 5 seconds.
I'm just saying, I just throw that number out.
Hi, this is Matt. Okay, now we're on to Dave, and now it's Chris.
So
just the conveyor
that's
belt
decent
belt
math.
style.
Yeah. So then
And and that's just one channel. That's that's not allowing for the build platform, and the build platform. We usually have what, 8 talks one day and 6 the next day, next, something like that.
Yeah, pretty close. Somewhere around there. I think it was 10
well,
on
here, look,
Saturday, and then I think it was. Oh yeah, you've got the.
I have it right in front of me.
I mean, build platform, I think is thankfully easy, to set in stone and set up the
Yep.
format and do all the streaming. I mean, it really is a very easy system. It's how do you
Yep.
get the other aspects of the show set up?
Yeah, I mean, my ring of the circus is literally like the elephants. It's the easy thing. You just get them to walk around in a circle, and then they stand on a ball, and everybody's happy.
Exactly.
Oh,
10
why-
and 8.
10 and 8. That's what I thought. I thought it
Yeah,
was 10 and 8.
yeah. But yes, that does give plenty of people time, and it even actually works in some Bluetooth device asking for something. I don't even know what that is. Sorry about that. Technical weirdness going on in the computer. Lost my train of thought.
So I mean,
you were talking about the time frames. 14 minutes.
Oh.
If it was divided out, it'd give you time for
It maybe bio breaks, Nick. We were worried about that.
Yeah.
so I mean, if you literally broke down and gave everyone their own 14, 15 minutes of showtime, it would still work. So you guys have you have plenty of room to do any format and not rush anybody, and make sure that exhibitors get their time, as well as sponsors and all that stuff. So I don't think anybody needs to worry about that part.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dave, for that. So that gives us room to bring in maybe a couple more, but we would give, just in my mind, the sponsors who have, been here longer, been at a higher level, you're probably going to get a little bit more time to talk and a little bit more exposure than somebody that was, just came along last year and was at a lower level. We'll still give everybody a fair shtick. But we want to be equitable, and as I said, we're not trying to create a lot of administrivia for us on the back end of this year, keeping it no low cost for everybody. This is the year that we're going to give back to our sponsors and try to give you guys a good event to connect with the community and support the community.
And just make them pay more next year. You'll be fine.
And make you pay more next year and you'll be fine.
Oh.
Get them make up.
Has he been sitting in on our meetings silently? I mean, it's kind of freaky, actually.
I am getting a little weirded out, but I like that he's doing the math for me because that's not my strong suit.
So I mean, it's pretty reasonable. I mean, your format and stuff like that. I do like the idea that you are going to kind of keep the ERRF hours, that type of thing. But I'd probably say the one thing you might want to consider is the late night hours section, just a little bit. Primarily since you have so many people that are across the pond.
Well, in that case, you'd want it earlier.
Yeah, so maybe an extra early. So maybe maybe shift or just have a little bit of early. So let's say Sanjay and Joseph, they actually don't have to necessarily try and get their act together at 4 o'clock in the late afternoon, midnight type of thing to be on the stream. That type of thing, and so that their people in their country can actually see them, not have to set their alarms.
Look at Dave being respectful of other countries and time zones and such.
So when we did
he's buttering up.
Flat Earth.
He's buttering up to them, Nick.
Yep.
When Martin was doing the European F3DPCH, they were starting, depending on daylight savings, it was 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock Eastern time is when they were starting. So to some extent, if you still did, as you did your lineup, that your earlier morning exhibitors was your European, your Australian would end up being, the later of the day, because like when Tessa was on F3DPCH, it was early morning for her as we were doing this.
Yeah, you'd have to do like Sanjay and Joe at like 10 o'clock and 10:30 and 11 o'clock, because then it would be mid-afternoon, early evening there, late afternoon, early evening. And then people like in Australia, when you started getting to 5 and 6 o'clock at night, you'd be talking about, based on, well, depending on daylight savings time, because that switches, but you'd be talking about it being, 7 o'clock in the morning on Sunday there at 5 o'clock PM on Saturday here. So
A little closer to their daily lives schedule.
Yeah.
Type.
yeah, no, I have been thinking about that. International work recently really has me thinking about time zones and how to make that happen. So
Yeah, I would think sticking, it is, after all, it is the East Coast Rep Festival. So sticking to East Coast time, the times for the East Coast, maybe with some alteration to push your Australian ones so that it's 10 o'clock in the morning, or 8 o'clock in the morning towards the end of it, maybe go a little bit later into our evening for the East Coast to catch them. Something like that.
I'm looking over in the chat again, and people are talking about, well, not directly talking about, but it's they're kind of referencing after somebody's done, an exhibitor's done speaking, they could go over to their own YouTube channel, or they could go on to Discord. And I absolutely love those ideas. I think it would be good to, for anybody who's going to be an exhibitor, one of the things that we might think about, Chris, is, if you're going to be an exhibitor and we put a time slot in there, making sure that they're providing Discord information, YouTube channel, whatever, so that when they're done their block of time, they can say, hey, if you still want to chat about this project, come over to this place, or do this, or da 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 da, so that they can continue conversations with people that way if they want to. And if they don't want to, that's absolutely up to them too. But it's an option, so that we kind of have, I don't want to say a script, but like as they're finishing their discussion about whatever their project is, they can be like, and if you want to continue this, here you
Our
go.
booth is over here.
Exactly.
Wait,
You can
I'm
find
sorry.
me at a Buzz Designs at.
Paul, good call on that.
See, I have a good idea every once in a while. They just come randomly.
Yeah, you just gotta go get them out of chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what Chris is talking about. That sounds like a pretty cool idea too. Thinking about the whole social hour thing, like the VERRF after dark type of stuff. Did Discord add video capability? Or are they still audio
think
only?
so. I think
No,
yeah.
you could fire up video
Can you?
from the device.
It would be neat if looking at the again, my biggest draw to these shows is really more the social side of things. If there was a way, I keep going back to the whole, having like a general chat. And honestly, what I was thinking is if I fire up a Zoom and just here's the link, anybody can join. It's not recorded type of deal. You can go in, see who's there, start a conversation. And if your conversation kind of goes somewhere, okay, now you go off to a different channel to continue that conversation type of deal. Because you get 100 people in the room and it's going to be nothing but noise.
Yeah, the concern about that, the concern that I would have about that, Matt, would be Zoom bombing. So if you just put it out there and like anybody can come, you never know what you're going to end up with.
Yeah, you would have to have moderators in that for sure.
Yeah.
But,
Now the Discord thing, since you can, kind of set up a master channel and a bunch of sub channels, wouldn't it be kind of nice, maybe, let's say for sponsors, that you literally have all the sponsors of their own little sub channels watching that?
Yeah.
That way you have one centralized Discord and you say, here, go pop around there and talk to your sponsors in this little sub channel. And if I have something else or another sponsor has something else, they can say, here, drop over to YouTube, let me show you, or join my Zoom and I'll show you this, and just kind of take it out of that.
That would be nice for the sponsors who end up, if somebody announces a product during VERRF, there's going to be a lot of questions. They could field questions through there, stuff like that. And like some of the bots, I know I'm not too up to speed on the bots and stuff and what you can and can't do, but if you could do something that pulls like an FAQ, like if this question gets asked multiple times, like, okay, here's a list of all the frequently asked questions, stuff like that would be kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was thinking, that way you'll just have one Discord that you point everybody to, and then they can navigate down. And in all honesty, I don't even, if the sponsors want to set up a bot for their little sub channel, let them go to town.
Right.
I mean, when I do these shows, I know I'm saying the same line over and over for 12 hours straight.
That's because you have to say hello to people, David. It's rude to just, yeah.
Kind of.
I know.
But I mean, we're used to that. So we're used to typing the same thing and saying, yes, we have to charge taxes. We're in Maryland. And no, this won't work on your printer, and that type of thing over and over again.
Wait, what do you mean 2.85 isn't going to work on my 1.75 printer?
That's right. I didn't know that. I tried to feed it in there, and now I'm upset.
I just figured it would last longer, Dave.
I know. What do you mean I can't print a 3 kilogram model with a 1 kilogram spool? So, but yeah, I mean, we're used to it. We answer it all the time. So it's all good. And if I just get tired of it, I just make Dustin do it.
Either get a bot to do it or Dustin.
Yeah, but the nice thing is that something like a Discord channel makes it so that here's your ERRF main portal to go into to find out the information. And then if they want to go drill down into a sponsor, it's up to the sponsor to decide how far they're willing to go. Like me, I'll be sitting there and I'll probably set up a whole booth in a room and all that, shameless plugging myself for hours on end. But some other company might just be like, I don't want to deal with them. I'll just post it up here and give them info and say, here's our email address. Good luck. That way it varies from sponsor to sponsor what they want to do.
Yeah, it's on the sponsor and the effort they want to put into it, though.
And then that way you guys don't have to manage it at all.
Good call. I like where you're going with this, Dave. Big fan of not managing it all. Just gonna toss that out there.
It's such a pain in the butt for the show. I mean, because you guys, unfortunately, I'll say this: if you've never, for everybody else that's in chat, if you've never tried to put on an event or a show and try to arrange for 88 exhibitors and 60 sponsors to be in one room and have them come up to you and make demands for extra tables and chairs and deal with the local unions and loading in and loading out and getting the building and permits and all the other junk and all that stuff. Anytime you can possibly reduce that is much appreciated.
Oh, I'm totally excited. You know what I just realized? I'm not going to have to ask people to move their cars from the loading zone this year.
Nope.
I'm excited by that too. I'm not going to have to rent a U-Haul.
I'm not going to have to unload a trailer.
Let's be honest, Matt. You're not going to have to bring your entire tool shop with you because Pooch needs to build the most elaborate setup ever.
Pooch can bring his own damn tools.
To be fair, I want to see Pooch set up a booth in his house for this.
Well, he's got his new makerspace for Repcord, so
he does have a new makerspace. That's true.
Yeah, no, I was thinking, hey, the F3DPCH community build will survive the trip this time.
Yeah.
Survive. I had to fix it. Coming home, we put something too heavy on top of it. I think it was Pooch's shelves.
Pooch had shelves? Who would have guessed?
Yeah, Pooch had shelves that are now a permanent fixture in my basement.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
I have a shed. I was cleaning my shed out the other week, and I'm sending Pooch pictures going, do you need this anymore? You're under rep box like 3.0 now. Do you need this?
You wouldn't happen to have any of the original shields for the rep box, would you? Because we happen to shoot through one.
No, he only gets the stuff he doesn't want.
That's okay. We brought home Repcord stuff with us too. We are apparently the East Coast distributor of a couple of rainbow packs, and I don't know what else we've got here. We did have rep boxes; those have been shipped. So
I was worried about ERRF this year because I was thinking I was going to have to hire or rent 2 U-Hauls just because that much Jesse filament would break the suspension in a U-Haul van.
Yeah.
And I don't think we answered this question. Carson asked if the school is still open to having us.
I did answer that.
Okay,
I answered that
never
in the chat,
mind.
Chris. Yeah.
Yes, but yeah.
But
I
no,
missed
keep
that.
going. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah,
You
go ahead
can
and answer it
actually
on the
answer.
stream for those who didn't see it.
They very much want us to come back. They understand the decision that we made, but they very much want us to come back. Funny enough, I haven't shared this with the rest of the team yet, but Nick, Stacy reached out to me when I told her that we're going to do a virtual event. She's like, "Well, how can we help?"
I love Stacy. I really
So, we're, I will say, and not everybody is enamored with the arena as we are. But to take Dave's comments from just a couple of minutes ago, into consideration, we really enjoy putting the event together. We had no idea how much work we were signing up for when we did this, or as we continue to do this, and as things evolve. And we actually thought this year was going to be kind of a little bit easier because we had 2 of these under our belt and we had a lot of stuff figured out. And we went through some growing pains behind the scenes last year, but we figured things out and we got smarter. And this year was going to be just, okay, let's do that again and do that again. And now we're not doing anything that we did before. And it's all starting over from scratch again.
But I be the master of 2 different formats.
Well, it looks that way. But
Jack of 2 different formats, master
yeah.
of none.
Well, Jack of 2, master of, I'll say 1, maybe almost master of 1. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But they take good care of us, and they really are looking. I'm gonna give her a call and see what she has to say. Can't hurt.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, Midnight Giant not cramming giant swords into box trucks.
What's Mike gonna do this year?
To be fair, didn't Mike buy a resin printer so he could start making everything small, and then just decided to go big anyway? Like, at some point, you got to take personal responsibility here for this, Mike.
It's your fault, Mike.
I was gonna say Dave's gonna have to buy a bigger, or start renting a bigger warehouse if Mike, keeps bringing stuff to Earth, because he leaves it in Newark, New Jersey, or Delaware. Sorry, I'm getting my Newark's confused. But yeah, he leaves it in Newark at the printed salad shop, hanging on the wall. And I don't think you have very many walls, that are big enough to hang stuff like that on it, with that extrusion thing you got going on behind you there.
I'll have to get another building and just call it Mike's building.
The Midnight Giant shop.
Oh, then you might have a hanger owner down there, Dave. Yeah, he'll fill that wall, he says.
Yes, he will. I have no doubt about that.
The question is, how many prints will it take? Yeah. 1, 2, or 3?
Oh, this feels like that old Name That Tune. Mike's going to be sitting there going, I can fill it in 2 prints.
Oh, like the Ellen challenge on the Ellen show.
That could be a contest.
The other thing is that, did you notice that Paul there, he's got the educational Zoom account, so you can have
all that.
200 and unlimited, yeah.
And all I'm thinking of is, how do we set up a Guinness record for the largest collection of 3D printers virtually printing at the same time?
Well, first off, we find a way to pay Guinness $10,000 to even recognize that record for us. And
I did that once, and I have my record on my wall, and I will say that it's not worth it, but it's still fun.
I tell you what, I'll unofficially look at the Guinness Book of World Records and then count the number of people and print out a certificate that says we did it.
There you go.
I'll do it for $10.
It's just as good.
I mean, when I looked in 2018, the Guinness record, at least at that time, that was on the books was 309 printers, maybe. I think it had something to do with Airwolf 3D printing, actually.
Oh, okay.
And Prusa has it now.
Well, I mean, even at that time, Prusa had them beat, because I think Prusa had 400, but Prusa wasn't paying the money to them to get it certified.
But see, that's where Dave's going for that stipulation. We're going virtual.
Right.
Right.
It would still have to be more, but we could get, like 2 or 3 Pauls to jump in on it. We'll just sandwich 200 streams in each of the 4 boxes, and there you go. We'll be at 800 in no time.
I'm good for like 8 printers at once.
Okay?
Gonna say we've got the Prusa shelf over here. It's got 2 MK2s, an MK2.5, a mini. There's another mini behind me. Yeah, we could probably get
We're
5
on
or
our
6 on
way.
the screen at a time.
Yeah.
Current record is 1096.
The question is,
The
does
current
that-
record is 1096, by the way, as given to me by my statistician.
the current
Okay.
record for printers printing at the same time?
Yep.
1096?
Yep.
Okay. Challenge accepted. I can do
Okay.
that. We could do it.
I mean, and Paul, he's got at least a dozen in his house. He was showing those off over the PPE days. So yeah, we can do that. That can be some fun for us. Something to shoot for.
Just a stream of printers running. one stream,
People would
just
watch
printers.
it,
I know they would. All printing the same thing. That's what's got to be happening. They all have to be printing the same thing,
Speed benchies.
not PPE.
too.
Oh,
Paul's got 13 printers, so there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I got at least 6 that I could reliably get printing.
Gonna say I saw Michael. I've got 6 that could work. Yeah. Well, we've got 8 that could work and 6 that do. So.
There's a lot of ideas of things that can be done and a lot of spaghetti thrown against the wall.
I think that's what it's going to take. I mean, benches would be nice. Be another fun one is, best multicolor print. I mean, there's a million little subcategories we could come up with for this year.
so yeah. No, you're right. So, and I threw out that link earlier. I think if I do it again, yep, here, I'll send it out again. But that's our Google form.
Some ideas.
If you have an idea, fill it out for us.
Uniform stores near you.
Shut up, Google. Sorry.
I was wondering what that. I was like, that doesn't sound like Lauren. But yeah, let us know what's on your mind. And we're gonna do what we can. Again, we want to put something together that's fun for everybody. It's compelling, but we're also trying to kind of keep it simple and clean.
Chris, previous years you've had volunteers. By the sounds of things, you'll probably be looking for volunteers to help moderate things and stuff like that.
Yep. So, let us know.
And I will
I heard we could put either bots or Dustin on it. So I'm just going with that for everything.
I'll post that link to the feedback form in the description after the stream. As soon as it's over, I'll post that in there.
Yeah, Paul, that could be fun.
Yeah, I'm thinking like that's part of what's going through my head is the logistics behind the speed benchy over Zoom.
I mean, you might not be showing the whole thing, but depending on how you guys time it, this sounds like it's definitely happening at this point. I'm not letting you guys back out. Paul said he could be commandeered earlier in the chat.
I'm pretty sure Chris just said you guys are doing this.
Yeah. So
welcome to the dictatorship.
Yeah.
Well, the format, I mean, what you would have is that you could literally have people camera pointed at their printer while they're printing it. And you're doing a 30-minute speed benchy round. That gives you time to go around and saying, you can literally interview all the people that are competing real quick and be like, why do you think yours is the fastest one? What settings did you change? Things like that.
Yeah.
And fill up 30 minutes over their printer while you go through everyone.
That's kind of what I was thinking is like utilizing the 100 streamer thing that I have on Zoom. If we did that where your camera is pointed at your printer with the display in sight so that you can see the seconds ticking by so you can make sure, somebody's not using XSplit and playing back a video at 2x speed or something like that. You have the timestamp to verify it. Yeah, Paul and I will have to get together and discuss that a bit.
Paul raised the bar. He said, well, we know it can be done in under 15 minutes.
That's kind of, in all honesty, I'm kind of thinking we just go with the 15-minute one. You're doing this at home, your printer should be at its best operation at that point because you didn't move it to get it to the show. So,
Yep.
Yep. Cool. But yeah, I mean, so, throw some spaghetti our way, hit that form, follow us on, the social medias, follow us on our YouTube. We're really late on the YouTube. Just look up East Coast Rap Festival. There's probably going to be another YouTube channel set up, and we will ask everybody to please follow that as well. Carson, yep, you and Ryan are going to be busy helping us out with we might do, I'll yield to you all as our Discord gurus, but it might be just a whole new Discord that we set up specifically to support the VERRF event. And we'll go from there and figure out, what's the right way. And for those of you that have technical expertise and know-how and want to help us, please. I'm not a super technical person except about certain things. So if there's something that you think you've got that can help out, and you're willing to roll up your sleeves, so to speak, and help us make sure everybody has a good time, we're not too proud to say thank you very much, and we appreciate your contributions. So
when do you think you're going to put up a volunteer form?
October 7th.
Okay, there you go.
So,
no, not sure. Not sure.
Can everybody follow ERRF and all the updates for VERRF? What's the best places to follow? And I'll get from Chris and put them in the description afterwards too.
Well, definitely, the Twitter. I think that's where the most.
That's where all the other information is going to permeate out from, is from your Twitter account.
Yep. And then from there, we also share it to our Facebook page, Instagram. If we don't forget about it, we share it to there as well. But Twitter is probably our main, focus point for spreading the word. We collect email addresses and we do send out, emails as well. But watch the Twitter, spread the word from the Twitter. When you see something come out, please retweet it, share it, repost it. And, same thing with the Facebook stuff. When we post on there, please feel free to share, repost, spread the word. We have the opportunity, like I said before, it's unique in that this is a virtual event. We could literally have thousands and thousands of people watching. And if we can give that kind of exposure to somebody out there working on, a cool project in their basement right now, and get them some exposure that makes a difference, that would be awesome.
Can I ask for one very official thing from you guys? I'm going to put you guys on the spot and you have to make an official call right now.
Oh, man.
What hashtag are we supposed to use on Twitter?
Oh, it's here.
Last year we had like 4.
Well, that's not because of us.
All right, so it's going to be VERRF 2020. Just want to make sure we all do it right. Everyone corrects
with an E,
after their name and everything.
But yep, and if you check out the Twitters, my handle, the ERRF handle, we're all VERRF with an E in it, VERRF, VERRF 2020, because it's the virtual East Rap Fest. So I think that it should all be in there. And I'm not disparaging any other events, but there was a different event earlier in the year that was VERRF. And we're just this is a different event from that.
All right, I have officially added it to the Printed Solids Twitter.
No,
handle.
no, Lou, not like that. Like this, Lou.
VERRF with an E.
Yes, second choice with the E, Lou. You are right on, sir.
And then I
Although
drop
when pronouncing it, the E is silent.
Or not.
or
The
not.
choice is
Who
yours.
knows?
You know, it's-
Something is
How do you
silent. It's an
pronounce the E?
R, it's an E.
hey, you can have a silent E and an R in there.
You
It's gonna
could.
be the GIF and GIF
Burr.
argument.
Boof.
Hey, at least you didn't call it East Coast Rep Rap Festival virtual, because then it would be an ERRF.
Perfect. Maybe an Urfy. There you go.
Yeah, it might get confused, but there's only so much we can do.
Just send the minions to correct everybody who gets it wrong, right?
John, there is no Vermont Rep Rap Fest. Stop teasing. Go away if you're going to be like that.
Virtual, but still,
But still geographic. Love it. Yep.
The time slots are geographical.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
I dropped links to Twitter, Discord, the Facebook group, and one of the Facebook groups. I saw there was two. I don't know. Maybe Facebook just showed me two of them for the same one. And the Facebook page for anybody who's interested. They're in the chat after the stream. They'll be in the description along with the suggestion or feedback form. John's just trolling. There you go. DERF. Digital East Coast Rep Rap Fest.
Well, awesome fest.
There you go, Lauren.
I don't know. It's a far alternatives. I'm gonna have to go with DERF so far. That seems like the best
Yeah,
one.
that does actually sound pretty good.
Yeah.
All
But yeah,
ahead,
reach out and let us know if you've got ideas. We're you know, for a bit we can kind of assimilate ideas, and then at some point here, sooner than later, we'll cut off the ideas and we'll start, you know, making the ideas into virtual reality. Isn't that a Jamiroquai song?
I thought that was virtue. Yeah, maybe it is. Virtuality. Yeah, virtuality. Yeah.
All right. Anything
Perfect.
else from the ERRF crew? All right. David,
All right.
you got anything else?
That is it. Other than I'm looking forward to DERF now.
All right. So,
You know, if you just put them together, you kind of sound like the Swedish chef. Derfa.
DERF.
hands.
And now I know what I'm 3D printing. Boomerang fish.
Exploding boomerang fish?
Exploding boomerang fish. Because they're going to have rockets. Matt's got me into the rocket thing now. Rocket boomerang
You
fish.
can do it now. Abide by your local ordinances, and we can do it.
We live in Maine. There are no local ordinances.
Well, I'm just thinking I'm going to take them over to the woods and set up a zip line down through the woods. Let's see how far I can get this thing to go.
Amazingly enough, we have a 900-foot straightaway that was just cleared out on one side of our property. So I'm thinking I could run a line that 900 feet and see how far they go.
So, Nick, how about across 15 acres?
That's a lot to cut down now. I'm kind of
I
lazy.
won't have to cut it down. I just put it right between the trees.
That feels like a disaster waiting to happen. Please put a camera on it.
Absolutely. I just got
That's
to get the internet over there first, and then I'll live stream it. I'll put the camera on live feed. There we
That's
go.
a long cable with a lot of tension on it. Man, somebody's going to lose a head.
I'm just thinking, I mean, for anybody who saw the videos on Instagram a year ago, rocket engines and derby cars don't actually mix very well.
No, it kind of flew off and then
It was off with a
smashed into the ground, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
It
we
kind
tried
of-
multiple times, too. I got a lot of flack for that, too.
I'm now thinking that I need to 3D print a Wile E. Coyote to attach to this because it seems like that opportune time.
Yeah. and I can fly my drone now. Man, am I like the one who broke the most rules with? Well, I didn't break the rule for the.
No, but you
No.
have established the role.
No, from conversations behind the scenes, nope.
I didn't see anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
Nope. Lauren shot it down before most people could see it. All right, guys. Well, tonight's gonna kind of end up being a little bit of a shorter stream. We wanted to give the ERRF crew a chance to let everybody know what's going on. If you have questions, if you have feedback, reach out to ERRF on Twitter, Facebook, the feedback form, email. Reach out to them. I mean, everything's about throwing spaghetti at the wall, as we've said multiple times tonight. You may think of something that these guys didn't think of, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, just things for them to be aware of, because it is totally new. I'm sure we'll have more there. They'll have more to tell us as we get closer to October 10th and 11th, correct, Chris?
Si, senor.
Okay, so 10th and 11th plus the Friday night before, which would be the 9th.
9th.
Okay. That's the dates for VERRF, and we'll see what else there is as we get closer. The next Friday night hangout, we're going to be on a hiatus next week. Next week. There won't be a F3DPCH. The next one will be June 26th at 10 p.m. I'm going on vacation, so unless somebody else wants to host and run the whole thing, no F3DPCH. So we'll see everybody then. Give everybody here a chance to go through the outros and let you know where they can follow each individual person. We already covered where we can follow ERRF and the virtual East Coast Rep Festival. So David, let's go over to you. Tell everybody where they can find you and what you do.
I'm David Randolph. I'm the owner of Printed Solid. They can find me at printedsolid.com, Printed Solid on Twitter, Printed Solid on Facebook, Instagram, probably on the outside of the building somewhere, on the side of my car. It's just pretty much wherever you can think of Printed Solid. And you'll find me at VERRF this year.
Okay. Nick?
Nick, I'm 12% of Abuzz Designs and 16.5% of VERRF. You can, if you want to follow just entertaining content, you can follow me on Twitter at VanFullOfPuppies. Not full of, because, well, their Twitter handle length exclusions. So, yeah. And you will also find me at VERRF this year, probably running the build platform stage. Definitely running the build platform stage.
All right. And does Lauren want to jump in and give her info?
Does Lauren want to jump in and give her info?
Especially her transition from Etsy and where she's at now.
So I'm not Lauren, but since she's sitting right here and told me I could give her outro for her, Lauren is the 88% of Abuzz Designs, who used to have an Etsy shop and has now transitioned from an Etsy shop to her own website and virtual space. And she's really not that short.
This is what happens when you're petting the dog on the floor.
She's tiny, but not that tiny. There we go. Anything you want to say?
No, I got nothing.
Okay.
You said it all.
She is also 16.5% of
VERRF.
VERRF. Yeah, there we go. And her role is yet to be determined, although I seem to be making it harder with every idea that I have. For
yeah, totally. I am not a website person yet. I am doing the website.
So
I think it looks pretty good for the fact that I don't do websites.
Is the new shop, is that at abuzzdesigns.com or something?
Is the new shop at abuzzdesigns.com?
Yes. www.abuzzdesigns.com.
And Lauren makes, I know you're doing the Mickey or the things for the Disney Magic Bands. Or
yep, Magic Band covers, and now has moved into cookie cutters.
All right.
Those are fairy wings, if you couldn't tell.
Look like something else.
Mickey balloons.
What percentage is Morgan? More of what? Of a Buzz Designs or this household? Because she's like 67% of this household,
It's true.
but does very little in the Buzz Designs world.
That's not true. She keeps my feet warm.
And she occasionally pulls away from work.
True.
And for those who don't know, just because she's sitting on the floor.
There it
Aw.
is.
Yeah, you could have just picked up the camera.
I could have just picked up the camera, but where's the fun in that?
Instead you showed them all my dirty
All right.
hands.
Over to you, Chris.
All right. Chris Pileski here at mchrisp1 on the Twitter. You can probably find that on other places, but the Twitter's a good place to find it. Looking forward to VERRF this year. It's something new for us. We hope we give you a good a good weekend in October. We're sorry that it can't be all in person, but we really think this is the right thing, and looking forward very much to having a good VERRF 2020, and then a really bigger and better and badder ERRF in person in 2021. We had to shelf a couple of I think good ideas we had for the in person, but they'll be back. They're not lost, and we're gonna have some fun in a new format this year. Everybody will save a couple of dollars, even though I think we'd all spend recklessly right now for some social fun. But we'll do the smart thing for right now, keep everybody safe, and then we'll hit it really hard in 2021.
Okay, everybody. Thank you for joining in the chat. Thank you for asking questions, giving input. Again, one last time. Links will be in the description below for the East Coast RepRap Festival, as well as their feedback form where you can leave suggestions and comments for the virtual East Coast RepRap Festival. We will see you guys again on the 26th at 10 p.m. Eastern. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for coming out.
Bye all.